Have you ever wondered yourself how nice the T69 actually is? Well, given that this is the 1069th video on this channel, and it is also 6 minutes and 9 seconds long, this is the perfect time to examine the T69 shaft. First, a little bit of history. It started in the 1950s as a prototype based on the T42 concept, which was supposed to replace the M46 pattern, but that never happened, and the number built on this vehicle is 1. But now, back to the fake world of crates and World of Tanks Blitz, and with the question of how well could it actually unload, and we're going to have a look at its stats first, and as it looks, not very well, because the penetration is only 180mm on the standard shell, which is quite bad, but the heat penetration is very good. But as I know from personal experience, it's not about the size, it's about how you use it. So if you position this vehicle correctly, you will still do well. With its 3-shot autoloader, 225 alpha damage, 675 damage in the clip. Now the big downside of this vehicle really is its mobility, which is far below average of most tier 8 autoloaders. Now the armor, let's have a look at that. Well, it's not really good either, but it's sort of like the T57 Heavy, where it's not really great, but it is well angled in a lot of places. You can get bounces here and there in many cases. The sides, well, it's an American vehicle. It has no side armor, but it does at least have a somewhat of a tub shape to it, so you might get a couple of lucky bounces here and there. There is, however, a really big problem with this vehicle, and that is you don't actually need it. In its tech tree, it's behind the T37 and the T71, the T71 also being its real-life predecessor. But the problem is, to reach the T57 Heavy, you can go via the T69. However, what you can also do is you can go to the T49, a vehicle that is a derp fun tank, and then go to the Sheridan and the T57 Heavy from the T49. So essentially, the T69 is unfortunately not needed at all, even though it might be quite pleasurable. Does that now mean that instead of being nice, the T69 is obsolete and useless? Well, this isn't a video about the KV-13, so I can confidently answer with no, it is definitely not. Now, while it might not have the standard penetration of its peers, it does have a little bit better DPM, and while it doesn't really have that much mobility as, let's say, a Skoda T27, it does make up with it with a very troll armor. So all in all, it does have its right to exist. And if you think that this channel has a right to exist, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and also go down into the comment section and tell me, what do you think about the T69? Have you ever thought about it? Do you think about 69 regularly? I don't know. Have I spent 2 hours making that animation right there? Yes, I have, so you better subscribe. Now, while it may seem pointless to go through all of the effort to get this vehicle when you could simply get the T49 instead, it is very important to actually go through the troubles of researching the T69, because the next vehicle, the T54E1, is one of the worst played vehicles in the game, because if you play the T49, you will not be prepared adequately for it at all. So what we've learned now is that the T69 very much is like a real-life 69. Low on penetration, not that quick, but it does prepare you adequately for what's about to come. If you don't do it, you might end up in big trouble. If you do it, you're not going to really miss out on anything, but you're going to have some accurate preparation for what is about to come next, which is the T54E1, which is a vehicle that is pretty okay. But if you come from the T49, you get that big, tiny, stubby gun from the T49, and you now have to handle a real stick that is not going to get you anywhere. So play the T69 if you're trying to get to the T57 Heavy, which is the thing that I do recommend doing. Not really at the beginning of your Blitz career, but once you've got your 5th, 6th, tier 10, then I highly recommend picking up the T57 Heavy, going via the T69, because the 57 Heavy, it's just a lovely vehicle to play, and it does absolutely destroy any enemy that is put in front of you in the right hands. And for the right preparation, you will need this vehicle right here. Yep, as you can also see, that the armor does work, especially on the turret, because of the way it is shaped. You're gonna get a lot of bounces if they're trying to shoot at the turret, so try to keep your hull hidden in this vehicle. It does have 9 degrees of gun depression, which is an excellent value, but somewhat standard for American vehicles, then again. But it does have excellent gun depression. Now, most oscillating turrets don't tend to have a lot of gun elevation, because obviously the back of the turret eventually starts yoinking into the engine deck. However, on this vehicle, it is 14 degrees, which is just about enough. Ideally, you would somewhere want about 20, but it's good enough to get that up. There is obviously no Viagra to use here to increase your gun elevation. However, you don't really need it, because overall, well, it's not the flashiest and amazingest tank in the game, and yes, that is a word now. It is now. It is a vehicle that, if put in competent hands, will do really well with 675 damage in the clip. And if it only is a learner vehicle to go from the T71 to the heavy of the T57 heavy, it is a great transition. It can be a lot of fun, and it does truly deserve the name T69. Thank you very much for watching, and see you for the next one. And now I'm going to have to waste 5 seconds because it has to be 6 minutes and 9 seconds. Exactly. Bye-bye.